one foot in, one foot out, like always wondering if we should have chosen differently, always kind of questioning if we're taking the right path or not. Overthinking keeps us in this state of half-heartedness. The longer we take to commit, the harder it is to commit, because the more overthinking just pulls us deeper into that rumination cycle. It essentially means that we don't fully live our lives. We don't need more certainty. We need more commitment. All we're committing to is just this next step. All we can know is what is true to us right now. Commitment means we take a little bit of risk. But the bigger risk is half-heartedness, if you ask me. The bigger risk is having one foot in and one foot out. I think it's safe to say that a lot of us feel stuck in overthinking. It's easy to allow overthinking to keep us from feeling confident about the paths that we're taking at all, about the steps that we're taking. It keeps us ruminating on the doubt and fear about, well, what if I chose differently, right? Or what if I chose wrong? Keeping us from ever feeling good about what we are doing and the paths that we are on. Maybe even preventing us from choosing and making decisions at all. It keeps us having one foot in and one foot out. If any of that resonates with you, then today's message has found you for a reason, because today's shift is really powerful to help combat overthinking, to set us free from overthinking, and to truly feel good about the choices that we make, the paths that we're on, and the decisions that we make in life, to strengthen this sense of self-trust and confidence within us and allow us to keep taking steps forward instead of allowing our minds to keep us stuck in this rumination. And this is something that I've really leaned into in my own life, because as I've shared in other episodes, I can be the queen of overthinking. I think we all can, quite honestly, because the human mind is a really powerful being. And often the mind is not here to make us happy and set us up for success. Often it's the thing preventing us from trusting our heart. And so today we're going to step away from letting the mind take over and listen to our hearts instead with this one really powerful shift. And that is what we're going to dive into today. So before we do, if you are new here, welcome to Fulfilled. My name is Camille. I am your host, and I am so grateful that this message and show found you today. If it did, trust that it is for a reason, and take this moment to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching the show. This will give you first access to episodes every single Monday and Thursday when I release new episodes. We also just passed 200, so there is quite a big backlog of episodes for you if you've just found the show to go back and listen. And if you are returning, thank you as always for taking this time and space for you today. Again, press follow or subscribe if you haven't. Most of you listening actually aren't following or subscribed. And leave a rating, review, and comment if you love listening to Fulfilled, wherever you are listening or watching. Both of these are really easy and quick ways that you can send me and Fulfilled some love and support today. I'm so grateful for you all. And enough for me. Let's dive into today's topic. Let's talk about how to combat this doubt and this overthinking. But before I get to the shift, let's talk a little bit more about this problem, specifically this idea of half-heartedness. So I've been reading the Gene Keys, and it's a spirituality self-improvement book. I wonder if you're watching on video, this is the Gene Keys. That was really convenient, and that was not staged. But it's essentially called the Gene Keys, Embracing Your Higher Purpose by Richard Rudd. And it uses astrology to essentially break down these gifts and shadows that are within each of us, but also helps you focus on the ones that are truest to you based on astrology. And one of the Gene Keys chapters that I've read recently is this idea of half-heartedness versus wholeheartedness. So what is half-heartedness? It essentially means that we don't fully live our lives. We don't commit to living our lives fully. It means that we're not fully participating in our lives as they're happening to us. It's that kind of one foot in, one foot out, like always wondering if we should have chosen differently, always kind of questioning if we're taking the right path or not. It's giving up at the first sign of trouble or discomfort, or allowing the doubt and fear to win and to control us and to never make us feel good about the steps that we're taking and where we currently are. It essentially is keeping us from going all in on life and from going all in the steps that we're taking and this current decision that we feel called to make. Part of us hesitates from deciding and from going forward with it. And that is half-heartedness, right? It's like half of our heart is in and half is out. Maybe there are certain instances in your life that are coming up for you where you're like, yeah, that's me a little bit. And another way to describe this is overthinking. right? Like overthinking keeps us in this state of half-heartedness because it keeps us kind of questioning like, well, what if we should choose that one instead? Like maybe I shouldn't fully commit to this one, allowing that doubt and fear in. But what this does is it keeps us in this state of self-doubt instead of self-trust, instead of allowing ourselves to act and take steps forward with confidence. And it's ironic, right? Because it's our fear of getting it wrong that often is the exact thing that keeps us from taking steps or deciding or choosing at all. And so it's like before we can even know if we get it right or wrong, we hold ourselves back from even ever trying. And there's this quote that describes this really well, short but sweet, in this chapter of the Gene Keys that says, "A life lived in fear is a life half lived. A life lived in fear is a life half lived." And I mean, that really just perfectly describes this, right? If we let fear and doubt determine how we live our lives and how much of our lives we go for, we're just half living our lives. We're living our lives with half of our heart, as it so beautifully describes in that word half-heartedness. So let's talk about the shift. Because again, maybe you're nodding along and being like, yup, that's me. I can never fully commit and I never feel good about my decisions. And I'm always overthinking and questioning the path that I'm on. Like, is this right? Is this wrong? Maybe never fully committing to relationships, to career pursuits. I know I can feel that way a lot in my life. And it has kept me feeling stuck in a lot of areas in my life. And I am going to share some personal examples in a little bit here. But here's the shift that it talks about in the Gene Keys, and that's been really powerful in my own life too, is to commit. Commit fully to living your life. Commit fully to this decision. Commit fully to this step right in front of you right now. Commit fully to this moment. So let's talk about what that means and how to do it. Essentially what it means is if you're going to do it, do it. Or if you're not going to do it, don't do it. Often the thing that keeps us from living in this overthinking cycle and half-heartedness is we're waiting for certainty. We're waiting for that doubt and fear to just fully not be there before going forward with the decision or before we can allow ourselves to feel good about the decision. But this chapter in the Gene Keys explains that we have it backwards because it's not about waiting for that certainty. It's not about needing certainty at all because certainty doesn't really exist in this world, as I've really tried to convey it in some episodes. And as life continues to teach us time and time again, we don't need more certainty. We need more commitment. Another quote that it shares in the book is, "Commitment engenders luck." Said differently, commitment is what brings about luck and brings about what we want. It doesn't say certainty brings about luck, but it's by committing fully, not waiting for certainty. And to commit is to choose. Commitment is a choice. We can either decide to commit to something or decide to live half-heartedly, aka allowing that fear and doubt to win. And this doesn't mean just committing to always doing the thing and committing to always saying yes. This can also mean committing to saying no. This can mean committing to honoring your no. It's essentially just committing to honoring your truth. So let's now talk about how to do that, because then the question becomes, well, what is my truth? And how do I know my truth, right? Again, if we're in this overthinking, it's because we don't know what our truth is and which path to take. I'm glad that you asked. And it's something I've been thinking about in preparing for this episode and in reading this beautiful chapter that really resonated with me. It's not about choosing right or wrong. This idea of commitment and committing to our decisions isn't about knowing the exact quote right path to take. It's not about even using logic at all. It's more of a feeling. This just knowing that we have that, like, this is what I feel called to, or this is what I feel called away from. It's essentially trusting our gut instinct. What is our intuition telling us? Our gut instinct in that moment knows best. And so what this commitment means is we commit to listening to that and honoring that, because that is our truth. And what the mind will then try to do is give us all the reasons why that might not be the right path. They make us question. But the more we allow ourselves and the quicker we allow ourselves to just commit to that gut instinct that arises, the more we'll be able to take those confident steps forward. And the more confident and self-assured we will feel in our decisions and the path that we are taking in this life. Another way to ask ourselves in the moment, what is our truth, is if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And I love that, right? Like, we don't want to do something if we're only just like half in. We want it to be like a hell yeah. That is something that I feel drawn to. And again, that can mean like, hell yeah, I'm staying in tonight because I don't want to go out. Or hell yeah, I am booking this trip because that is the exact retreat I want to go on, or whatever. If it feels like a hell yes to your initial instinct, then that is a way to uncover your truth. Because in that moment, if it feels like a hell yes, then that is your truth before the mind gets a hold of it and causes you to ruminate and kind of allow that doubt in and to overthink it essentially and start to ruminate. It's like the longer we take to commit, the harder it is to commit, because the more overthinking just pulls us deeper into that rumination cycle. To commit essentially means to surrender to our intuition, and to surrender to how our intuition is guiding us in the flow of life without needing to know exactly where it is guiding you, or without needing that exact certainty. We can commit to what our heart feels called to and what it feels called away from in that moment. And I know you're probably having some questions come to mind, like, well, does that mean I can never change my mind? And, does that mean that I should never have doubts? No. I'm going to share in a minute here what this doesn't mean and what we can let go of in order for us to commit fully. But it essentially means to surrender and to trust whatever instinct is coming up for us, and to trust what step we feel called to in this moment. Because the truth is, we feel called to certain people and certain pursuits and certain paths for a reason. Just like we feel called away from these things for a reason. When that calling and that intuitive nudge arises for us, committing means trusting that. And committing means allowing that to actually guide us. And this commitment can apply to all things big or small. This isn't just about the huge decisions in life, but it literally can be as small as in the Gene Keys it describes, like committing to just washing the dishes in this moment, committing to just being present with this friend on this walk in this moment, committing to sitting and record this podcast episode in this moment, or committing to accepting the job offer or declining it, committing to going all in on the relationship or deciding that it's not for you. So before I get to some personal examples, let's talk about what commitment doesn't mean, what we need to let go of and release in order to commit to living our lives fully, to live wholeheartedly instead of half-heartedly. Again, hopefully to address maybe some of these questions coming to mind, because I had a bit of confusion when I was first absorbing this topic of like, okay, but does that mean that I have to have everything figured out and that I can never have doubt and I can never change my mind and I just have to go all in and everything? That seems kind of exhausting. So I want to talk about a couple things that this doesn't mean, that we can release to free up this ability to actually commit, and in a way that feels good. Because that's a big theme here, right? We're not trying to do things that feel forced, but we're trusting the flow of what feels good. And that's what this idea of commitment is. And so by letting go of these things, we can allow that flow to return. First thing is letting go of perfection, letting go of needing to have certainty about a perfect outcome or end goal in taking these steps, in taking this path. It's not going to look perfect along the way, and it doesn't need to look perfect along the way. We can commit to what our heart feels called to, commit to taking just this next step imperfectly, and do it messy. Welcome in the messy. And what we can welcome in more of here too is compassion and grace, allowing ourselves to not fully know where this is leading us, allowing ourselves to just take messy steps, continue to learn as we go instead of needing it to look perfect. I think that's what overthinking can cause a lot of us to be stuck in, is this like waiting for certainty and waiting for perfection. It's like, it doesn't feel perfect yet, so I'm going to keep on waiting and just thinking about it and preparing myself until it feels really good. If we allow in compassion and grace, we allow in the ability to just take messy action, to welcome in imperfection, because we're not perfect. Life isn't perfect, and the steps that we take don't have to be perfect. So we can take the pressure off needing to have it all perfectly figured out, and we can commit anyways, because there is no path or person for us or pursuit that is ever going to feel perfect, but we can choose to commit to it if our heart feels called to it. And this leads me to the second thing to let go of, which is identifying the path as, quote, right or wrong, or the person is right or wrong, or, whatever decision is top of mind right now, or as you apply this, there is no right or wrong. We can remove those labels that our mind tries to identify and just trust the feeling. Trust what feels good and what doesn't. Again, this isn't such a black and white application of like, well, that's the right path and that's the wrong path. And, this is the job that I need to take and that's the wrong one. It's more of an overall feeling. And it's just this trust that this thing feels exciting to me in this moment on my journey, and this doesn't feel as exciting. It's surrendering to that feeling in our body and that knowing. And every time we do, we strengthen the ability to trust that, and we strengthen that confidence within ourselves. Another thing to let go of here is waiting until we have no doubt and no fear in taking the steps forward or committing to a path. Doubt and fear will always be there. It's again what has kept so many of us in this overthinking cycle. It's the doubt and the fear that arises that our mind clings to and then pulls us into that, rabbit hole of just like rumination. But in an interview I did a while back with a neuroscientist, he explained that overthinking is really just dwelling on the problem over and over again. Our mind thinks that it's helping us come up with a solution, but it's just highlighting the doubt and the fear. And so we can commit to a path and a decision even if the fear and the doubt is there. We don't have to wait for it to evaporate and to not be there, because it will always be there. It's okay that it's there. We can choose to not buy into it. We can choose to trust what's on our heart instead of the fear and doubt that is going on in our mind. And what can be helpful here is understanding our priorities and understanding what we really value, at least in this moment in our lives. Like, what are the things that we want to prioritize and what feels most true to us at this part of our journey? Because every decision we make, there is an opportunity cost. Something we learned back in economics class back in the day, right? Like every single purchase we make and every single decision that we make in life, every path that we take steps on, we are sacrificing something else. If we commit to this relationship, that means that we're saying no to the other potential people out there. If we accept this job offer, that means that we're saying no to the others. And so we need to understand also what it is that we really want and what we want to be prioritizing right now in this part of our journeys. And that doesn't have to be what you value and prioritize for your whole life, just right now. Because another thing we can let go of is thinking that this needs to be so permanent. We are allowed to change our minds. Everything in life is temporary, even the big things, right? Like accepting a job doesn't mean that it's going to be your job for life. Think about all the relationships that didn't end up being lifelong relationships. It's meant to be that way. Very few things in life are lifelong things. Most friendships and relationships and jobs that we're in are temporary, are not going to last forever. And so when we remind ourselves of that, it can take the pressure off needing to just know that it is our end all be all and totally it. But we can commit to it just because it feels true to us in this moment, because it feels true to our heart in this chapter, in what we feel like is a good match and what we feel like we need to continue to evolve and continue to feel like the best version of ourselves. But especially with these bigger things, right? Like relationships and jobs and our career, it can feel like life or death. Like making that change can feel like a really big deal. But all we're committing to is just this next step. We're committing to the guidance that's on our heart right now. We're not committing to needing to know what it's going to look like in our entire lives. We're not committing to 10 years down the line, like making sure that this is the exact job and relationship for us. All we can know and all we can commit to in this moment is what is true to us right now. And down the line, the truth is, as we evolve, our priorities might change and evolve. Who we are will change and evolve. And in those moments in the future, we can then continue to ask ourselves, okay, what is true to me now? And what do I feel called to commit to now? This commitment that we choose in this chapter right now doesn't have to be the same as we commit to 10 years down the line. And I feel like a question that at least came up for me is like, okay, but does that mean that we're just like, okay, getting a divorce if a relationship doesn't work out? No, I don't think that's what it means at all. I think what it means is going all in a relationship if it feels good to your heart now, and trusting that it feels good to your heart because that person's meant for you. And we can trust and surrender to needing to know what the future looks like and needing to have that certainty, and just trust that all I know right now is that this person feels aligned with my heart and I'm going to commit fully to this relationship Because until we commit fully to the relationship, we really will never know. And that's the trap of half-heartedness, right? Like if we have one foot in and one foot out in our relationships, we're never giving it that chance. We'll never fully know if it is for us because we don't commit fully. Another example that came to mind while preparing for this episode is successful business people. When you hear about, the most successful CEOs or people who start these startups that take off, like the reason they're so successful is they commit to the decisions they make. They don't have all the answers. They don't have 100% certainty. They still feel that fear and doubt. But the difference is they act quickly because they trust their gut instinct and they trust what they feel called to and they commit to it. There's probably 10 or 100 or a million other choices that they could have made in that moment, but they commit to the one that they did. And they fail quickly and learn quickly and then take a next step and commit again and then again. So the difference is they're taking steps forward and learning as they go because they're committing to their decisions instead of having one foot in, one foot out and just staying stuck in this overthinking and rumination. What kind of business owner would that be, right? That business probably isn't going to be very successful because there's no commitment there. There's just ruminating on what could go wrong. So yeah, commitment means we take a little bit of risk, but the bigger risk is half-heartedness if you ask me. The bigger risk is having one foot in and one foot out. So now, as promised, let me share a couple personal examples with you. If you are really resonating with today's topic, if part of you keeps going, yeah, that is totally me, and feels drawn to keep listening, it is for a reason, because there is a version of you who's no longer paddling upstream, who's no longer chasing and forcing and doing things the hard way, who's no longer stuck in overthinking and feeling like they can't fully trust themselves. But there's a version of you who's finally living from their truth, who's truly magnetic because they fully trust themselves, who commits to their path in their life fully and radiates this confidence and light. And this is not a far off fantasy. This is a transformation that I help you step into in my one-on-one life coaching. I help you tune out that external noise, step out of the should and survival mode and chasing, and finally become this version of you. Not someday in the future, but right now, because they are already a part of you. There's just so much getting in the way of you feeling them and embodying them. So if any of this is calling to you or resonating with you, if your intuition is pulling you towards this, then I invite you to commit to trusting that and check out the link in the show notes below. You can learn more about one-on-one coaching with me and book a free one-on-one clarity session where we help you get clarity right on that call and truly start to embody that version of you. I'm also including a free future self visualization resource for you in the show notes to help you truly start embodying this version of you right after this episode. You can find both of those linked in the show notes. I would love to support you in this transformation and on your journey in a deeper way. Trust your heart if you feel called to it. And let's get back to today's episode. These are some ways that I've really applied this idea of committing to living life fully to my own life, and ones that really came up when I was reading this chapter in the Gene Keys. It really shed light onto a couple areas of my life where I realized I kind of have been ruminating and doubt a little bit there. And I kind of have been living half-heartedly at certain times when it arises. But with today's message, I'm really choosing to commit to these parts of my life. So the first one's the podcast. I know this is always top of mind example, but it's like when you start a business and have a passion project, it becomes a big part of your life. And so throughout the whole course of the podcast, there has been doubt, because there's a lot of times, especially early on, where it's like, I am my only and biggest believer and supporter. And naturally there's doubt as to is this the right path? Am I doing this right? Does this feel perfectly right? Or is there something else that maybe is calling to me instead? And there always is a little bit of uncertainty and doubt. There's days where I don't feel like sitting and recording. There's days I feel uninspired. And sometimes my mind will cling to that and be like, maybe this is a sign that this is not for me. But the reminder and shift that I come back to now is nothing feels perfect. There's no relationship or person or path or pursuit that will ever feel perfect, that we won't ever feel this doubt and uncertainty at times, but we can commit anyways. And what I know to be true is my heart continues to return to this and feel excited about sitting and creating. And I continue to just add to the notes app on my phone of new inspiration, because I'm always getting ideas throughout the day that I feel excited to create and sit here and record those messages for you guys. And I truly feel that that inspiration wouldn't continue to come to me, and this excitement and energy wouldn't continue to come to me if this wasn't meant for me. So I've released this needing to feel perfect. And when I release that need for perfection and to feel no doubt, I'm able to commit a lot more fully because it takes the pressure off it needing to look perfect. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is something I love. But love doesn't have to mean that there isn't also doubt and uncertainty and confusion at times. There is no perfect decision. And this level of commitment can also look like, okay, today I'm going to commit to recording, or today I'm not going to commit to recording, because I can also trust my body in that, in making that commitment feel as good as possible. And the same can apply to our jobs and careers, right? Like there's no perfect job or career. We're going to have days where our energy is low, and there's going to be tasks that we're not the most excited to do, but we can trust what's on our heart in terms of if this feels aligned with us and if it doesn't. And the same thing for relationships. For a long time, I was looking for just this like perfect person. But what that always caused me to do was just analyze flaws in the people I was seeing and just focus on what didn't feel perfect. And there was fear there of choosing the wrong person. And I allowed doubt to cause me to have one foot in and one foot out, often in relationships, especially early on. But I've recently realized the beauty in committing all into a relationship and just opening my heart to trusting that my heart feels called to certain people for a reason. And I can trust that and surrender to that. And it's allowed me this space to commit fully to the person I'm with currently. But we're never giving our relationships a chance if we always have one foot in and one foot out. If we're always like ready to run out the door if things go wrong or when the fear and doubt arises. Again, that doesn't mean we have to know that 20 years down the line that things are going to feel really aligned with this person. But how are we going to know if we don't commit right now to give this person the chance that we want to, and to trust that our heart is pulling us towards this person? And on a little bit of a smaller scale, maybe this is even like addressing your to-do list or addressing weekend plans coming up. Overthinking and half-heartedness can literally take form in these things as well. Maybe we have like 5 things on our to-do list, but we only have an hour. Like, what do we do? Again, what are your priorities? What feels most important on your heart and in this moment right now? And then commit to that and trust that that is the thing that feels most important for a reason. It's okay if the other things don't get done right now. It's okay if it's not the quote right or perfect decision. You can trust that that is what your heart decided and what you feel called to do first. Or weekend plans. This was one that I feel like affected me for a while, especially when I was a bit more insecure and younger, quite honestly, when I was like living in these cities where I felt like this need to go out on weekends. And on the nights that I would choose to stay in, my mind would often be like elsewhere, going on social media and seeing what other people were doing, or even looking outside and seeing people like walking to dinner or to parties out my window. And I would question my decision to stay in. But it's like, no, I decided to stay in because my body was tired and needed rest, because I didn't desire to go out that night. I trusted what I wanted to do, but by not fully committing to that, AKA by allowing my mind to make me question like, well, maybe I should be out, maybe I should be out being social and doing more. Like I probably should, right? Buying into the shoulds of being in your 20s, especially. It prevented me from being able to fully even enjoy my evening in because my mind was half elsewhere. I was only half in it. And now if I decide to stay in and not be social, I commit fully. I'm going to soak up all the joy and this solitude of this evening and make popcorn and watch a rom-com. Or if I decide to go out, then I will commit to fully go out. But it doesn't serve us if our mind is half elsewhere, because it just takes us away from being present in the decision that we make and where we actually are, because we're wondering what if, or should I have chosen differently? But how on earth does that serve us? It really doesn't. And it's almost crazy how our mind pulls us into those questions in all these situations that don't exist. And all they really do is take us away from being present and enjoying this moment. Ultimately, what this is all really embodying and encompassing is it's not about what we do. It's about how much of us commits to doing it. Committing fully to our decisions frees up that space for us to actually be present for it, instead of thinking in the half of our mind like, oh, but what if? Or should I have? We can commit to the decision that we've made And maybe that decision changes in the future, and then we commit to that other decision in the future. All we're committing to is this decision and step right now. We're committing to living our life fully by being fully present for this moment and the experience that we're meant to be having right now. And we know we're meant to be having it because our heart was called towards this. We trusted our intuition and gut instinct, and it was there for a reason. Again, we're called to certain people, paths, and pursuits for a reason. Just like we're called to say yes or no to certain things for a reason. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it our truth. And so when we uncover our truth, make a decision and commit to it. Surrender, trust, and believe in that guidance. Knowing that it is guiding you and knowing that it did arise for a reason, we can commit fully to that. And that strengthens the amount of self-trust we have within us as well. So keep staying open to where your heart is guiding you and committing to that guidance again and again. Even if it's imperfect, even if there's uncertainty and doubt there, commit to what's true to your heart. And that is how you live life fully and wholeheartedly. I really hope you resonated with today's episode. If you did, again, don't forget to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching, and send this message to someone in your life who came to mind, someone who might really love this inspiration or love fulfilled in general, who might need some love and inspiration in their life right now. And leave a rating, review, and comment wherever you are listening or watching. All of these are truly quick and easy ways that you can send Fulfilled and me some love and support today. And before I let you go today, I have a very exciting announcement for you. I'm hosting my very first retreat in Costa Rica at the end of January in 2027. This is a week to truly reconnect with yourself, to step away from the hustle and the busyness of life and get clarity on your life and step into a version of you that you feel called to tune out the external noise and really tune into your intuition. This retreat will be filled with yoga, meditation, workshops, exploring the rainforest and beach at a beautiful retreat center called Recenter. So if your soul has been craving reset, restoration, connection, and clarity, this trip is for you. There are only 12 spots and registration is open now. So if you feel called to explore this, check out the link in the show notes below and I would love to have you there. All right, I'll see you all again soon on your journeys to living this life fully.